hero. We'll put it like that.
Nice.
What's it like? I was actually there in attendance in Cleveland for Coe's first career NFL touchdown, which was awesome. And,
Awesome.
It was a great game. You could hear me on camera. I was just screaming, "Say it ain't so, Coe! Say it ain't so!" Sadly, from there, the game kind of went off the rails a little. That was the last high moment of that game, but it was a great game. Overtime loss, fun time.
Yeah.
But how was that moment for you? Seeing the first, whether it was on TV, in person, wherever you were, seeing his first NFL touchdown. How was that?
Well, dude, I mean, we were at home because it was a away game. We don't travel to a lot of the away games because we can get into that later. But, to watch that and to think I wished I was there live. So to have your video was so cool. And just that, man, this is so cool. I mean, that was so cool for us. Catching it from Tom Brady, right? Like, he's got the ball yet. I mean, first NFL touchdown means a lot, right? I mean, as a dad, that's just so cool to see. And it was fun to watch. And, I didn't have the outcome we wanted, but still the same. What a memory! What a memory to have, right? So,
and honestly,
cool.
those. One of the best guests ever, the Buccateers in the house tonight. You guys hear him on Tampa radio all the time. He's one of the best in the business. My favorite personal in the business. That's why I'm elated tonight. Growing up in the Chicago area, you're used to sports radio. That's what gets me through the day. So this man does help get me through the day, I will say, with the Pat and Aaron show at work. Nothing like it. So it's incredible. It looks like we got Stunna bumbling in. I'm Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little cleared. But we're joined by Pat Donovan.
It looks like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like you got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
And he was trying to pull me in big time. And then I was like, nothing's happened with Indianapolis yet. Like, I really want to give Indy a chance. And then also I talked to Cody Gruden, once he took over Richard McCann, I'm still like, but look, I was like, y'all just give me the opportunity to explore free agency, see what's going on, and then can I make it do it.
All right, everyone, you are tuned into the Buccateers of wide receiver Kalen Geiger, and we are about to have a great pod. This is the Buccateers. You're tapped in, and here we go. Welcome back into Mancave Monday here on the Buccateers podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We got a very fun episode in store today, and the bye week is done, and Buccaneer football is back right around the corner with some exciting news regarding injuries, trade deadline, and so much more. Mancave Monday, going to get into pickups, the status of the Bucs market, and something that could maybe be killing the current value of Buccaneers jerseys. We'll get into that. And then TTMs. I've gotten a couple questions about, hey, can you get into the TTM world, the TTMs, how those work, what it means, and all that stuff. So we'll do that as well. Joined by the great Chris Cole. It's game week, and B-Shuck, I hate bye week. Well, Zack, I do too, but without further ado, my from bye weeks are done, and you are here. You had a hell of a weekend, it seemed like, and a little bit later, we're going to get into your haul from your nephew as well. If those don't know by now, you should, but the great Zack Frazier is the nephew of Zach Johnson, Bucs by 30, Zack and Zack instead of Johnson and Johnson. But Zack, how we doing, brother? How was your weekend? It looked like a really fun weekend for a football fan.
Yeah, it was a good time. Got to hang out with B-Shuck a little bit, which is always a good time. And I got invited to the Steelers-Colts game, which, it's a premier matchup from this week. And it's always a good time going to watch a live football event. So good times were had by all.
Yeah, a lot of people, and Billy Mignon is joining us live on Facebook and so much more. Thanks to the audience over there on Facebook, Billy M and the crew. We appreciate it. But Zach, I'm always trying on bye weeks to get to a football game, or if the Bucks play on a Thursday and my brother's going to a Colts game on Sunday, I'll tag along with him. It's just something about going to other environments and seeing a game that's sometimes not the Bucks. It's stress free and you're kind of sitting back, relaxing, and enjoying the environment. I'm sure Pittsburgh was a whole nother level as well in terms of the steel curtain, the 12th man in the crowd.
Yeah, Pittsburgh just has one of those fan bases, man, like that you wish your team would have a little bit of that fan base. They travel, they're passionate, they've got a lot of tradition, all the things that you really wish that that your franchise had a little bit of. I know we're relatively new in the NFL compared to Pittsburgh, but we are so far behind on that tradition aspect of it. I think the biggest tradition we have is Bucs fans selling their tickets to the away fans. I think that's like the only tradition that we have.
And you're not wrong. There's some people might get up in arms about that, but you're not wrong. You go to any game, they're cold weather people might be coming into warm weather. You're going to get a crazy looking away to home ratio, like 40, 60, 50, 50 split staying there. And it's really wild, but that's what it is. B-Shuck Renegade was effing awesome. And Zach, you've been pounding the table for a while, more tradition, something to kind of break the bank for this Buccaneers team. I mean, I love our social media team. I love our game day operations crew, but we have to do something, Zach, where we come out fired up, ready to roll. I know we always have a special guest on the pirate ship and all that stuff, but we really need something to put the crowd over, fire the guys and gals up in the seats.
Yeah, listen, it makes a big difference, man. I've been to a handful of Steelers games when they've played Renegade, and there's always a big play after it plays in the stadium. They lit it up, started the fourth quarter. Pittsburgh kicked the ball off. First defensive play after Renegade was played, they sacked Daniel Jones. So I mean, it transitions to the guys on the field. You can watch the players while it's being played, and they're getting hyped up, man. And they got the video package playing that syncs up with the mute. It's tremendous. Like if you don't get chicken skin during that moment, you're not a football fan. You don't have to be a Steelers fan, but real football fans will appreciate what happens in that moment.
Yeah, imagine if the Bucs started the fourth quarter by showing a highlight video package of like the 2002 Super Bowl, the 2020 Super Bowl, and then big plays from this season. And, you kind of add a hype song to that, a rock and roll, a pump up song, whatever it might be. And you do that every single week of the year. The crowd isn't only going to get accustomed to it and rocking and rolling with it, but the team is going to be like, man, that's pretty cool. Fire you up a little bit. Next thing you know, you get big plays. I know the stadium's big on voting for a song to be played in the fourth quarter right now, but that should maybe be something that happens in quarter one or quarter two where it's a little more fun, fan-friendly opposed to later in the game. But hey, me and Zach aren't game day operations, sadly. Maybe one day we'll hold that title and see what we can do to get the Buccaneers better. Speaking of get the Buccaneers better, Goedeke seems like he's going to be back soon, hopefully. If not, that's a bad sign because that would mean his season's over. But now, Zach, given from Monday the 3rd all the way until Monday the 24th, this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team has the opportunity to activate Goedeke from the IR, and that'll be huge for this team. The offensive line surely has been struggling as a whole so far, given the lack of Cody Mauch, given the lack of Goedeke. Tristan Wirfs has been in and out as well. Zach, it's kind of been a rotating door. Goedeke would really make this team a hell of a lot better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm hoping we actually see him activated this week and ready. With all signs pointing to he's going to play on Sunday because we really need some stability amongst that offensive line. I know we've talked about like the lack of play calling, some of the uncreativity and Baker looking off, but he really has only looked off in the last 2 games, and the offensive line has looked like less than in those 2 games. Let's just say it that way. We saw Tristan Wirfs have maybe the worst game of his career against the Saints, and that might have been a hangover from Hutchinson because Aiden really put him through ran him through the weeds there. So if we can get this offensive line playing a little bit better, then I think we'll see a better product of the offense altogether. So hopefully Goedeke is back on Sunday. And I don't know. I mean, maybe Feeney's the player that sticks at right guard, and Barton picks it up, or they switch Barton and Bredesen, whatever they need to do. But we just need to get a lot more play out of those guys than we have the last 2 weeks.
And you hit the nail on the head. And the great Michael Jordan really started off good at left guard, but as soon as he kind of started filling in post-injury at right guard, I don't know if the league figured him out or if he just was better at left guard than right guard, but he's really struggled at that point. And, it's really time to open the can of worms. Like you said, maybe if Feeney will stick, we'll see what happens. But hopefully Goedeke comes back, and then, that right guard has a chance of being better when he's stuck in between Goedeke and Barton, opposed to, Heck and Barton. And nothing against Charlie Heck. He's given it his all. But we all know that Goedeke's a huge improvement when he returns to Raymond James Stadium over Charlie Heck. Speaking of returning to Raymond James Stadium, Tampa Tones, Zack going back to Tampa this weekend, hopeful to return, but ticket prices are insane. We'll see what we do there. B-Shucks quoting a time of when he went to Tampa, Pittsburgh, and the Bucs were losing the whole game, and Renegade went off, and the Steelers really got amped up. Congrats to the Cubs for their Gold Glove winners. Yeah, I guess it's a consolation prize for getting eliminated. Playoffs. We'll go with that. What up, fellas? Mancave Monday, says J-Lo. J-Lo, thanks for tuning in. But Zack will be in Tampa this weekend. You're going to the Evans Family Foundation Bowling event. I'm going to be at the Bucs game. Any plans of maybe adding on to your man cave at some point this weekend, or is that event you're just going to enjoy, sit back and relax and see what happens?
I'm going to take some stuff as what I'm calling lane decoration. And, if, things happen, things happen. I'm not looking to have anything, I'm not pursuing it, but, if it happens, it does. I don't know what the vibe is. I've never been. So I'm not that kind of guy that pushes the envelope when it comes to stuff. I usually miss out on things getting signed because I'm not aggressive with pushing things in front of people. So, it'll probably just be there, and maybe we get some pictures or whatnot. But it's something I've always wanted to do. It's a good time to support a charity. They do a lot of good work for the community down there, and then to get to just hang out with some people that I haven't seen in a while. And then we're hoping to transition it over into maybe catching the game on Sunday. But it's looking bleak right now because, as we mentioned before, the only tradition we have are selling tickets to out-of-towners, and those prices are reflecting that right now. So.
If you look at the prices, they're insane. For nosebleeds, it's getting into the hundreds and hundreds of dollar level just to get into the stadium. Shout out to Rochelle and J-Lo watching us on Facebook, Cleaving me and Olive checking in, saying the same exact thing. Whoa, hey, fellas. Hey, fellas. There we go. But always a good deed to support not only a charity, but a Bucs charity, right? In the Evans bowling event seems to be one of those popular ones. Also, you and I have been to Arian's Family Foundation golf outing. That's another very good one. And you never know, as you said, it's always nice to bring something. We never shove the memorabilia down people's throats. Hey, sign this. But another good thing about these charity events, sometimes they are good places to get autographs and things because people know you're there for charity and helping out. But Zack and I are the type where, hey, if things come to us, awesome, when we're at these events, but never push the envelope. Word of advice for those autograph collectors out there: if you're ever going to try and get an autograph at an event, kind of let it happen naturally, right? Like if you and Evans have a brief moment, you dap up, hey, can I sign this real quick? Don't go like running down Mike Evans and be like, Mike, I got this, or that sort of thing. So Zack, I think that's important for memorabilia and autograph collectors both to kind of remember. When you're at games, when you're at events, yeah, it's nice yelling, but kind of let it happen naturally. If the player approaches you and something happens, that's almost a sure guarantee, opposed to kind of yelling and going crazy for something.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're, even at games, I mean, when you recognize a player, that's one thing, right? But everybody's yelling for somebody. Odds are the player will come up to you if they're signing naturally. So we'll see. J-Lo saying, heard Evan's bowling charity events are fire. So there we go. El Monito and Don joining us on Facebook Live now as well. Facebook is popping. But Zach, last but not least, if somebody ever wanted to inquire about one of these charity events, how would you recommend going about that?
The Mike Evans Family Foundation has a website that has all the events listed for the year. So after the bowling event, I believe the gala's after that, right? The gala's in the off.
Yep.
And I think so. That'll be the next one that he has coming up, and you make I think you have to do it by the table there. So you want to get a group of people to all kind of chip in to do that, to get to that. I have some friends that go to that every year, and they talk about yeah, I feel you, Joey. I'm sorry about that. Also, Daniel Jones is my fantasy football quarterback, and I am the cooler. So I'm trying to figure out who my next victim is going to be this week. I'm trying to figure if I can get Drake May, help the Bucs out a little bit as well. But no, so just check the website. Social media is a real big place. Twitter, Arians Family Foundation does a lot of their stuff through Twitter, but I don't think they're doing much in Tampa anymore. Now that they're kind of back home, but yeah, it's a good time. It's a good cause, and you definitely get access to players that you normally wouldn't get. So it's a win-win for both sides.
Couldn't agree more. Win for both sides. Obviously, Joey, bad luck with the Colts yesterday, but they were due for that buzzsaw. The Steelers were kind of due to hand out that buzzsaw. Donna checking in saying, love this. We appreciate it greatly as well, Zach. Speaking of appreciate greatly, the Eagles appreciate the Dolphins greatly as they got Jalen Phillips earlier to kind of help keep stacking. And the trade deadline is tomorrow, Zach. It's kind of been quiet in Tampa land. Thoughts on the Bucs as they approach tomorrow's trade deadline here on November the 4th?
I'm not anticipating anything. I really, at this point, I'm just kind of reserved that they feel comfortable with what they have. I mean, if they make a move at receiver, it's probably not good news for Godwin and McMillan. So you probably don't want to see a move made at receiver. The only thing at this point that kind of makes sense is maybe an inside linebacker, but Servassier has played better as of late. So do you want them to burn draft capital to bring in somebody, and now Servassier's development's a little bit stunted because now he's playing behind somebody instead of playing in front of somebody? So, I mean, it's one of those things. I don't foresee it happening. It's just not really Jason's style to do in-season trades. But maybe we're all pleasantly surprised and they do make a move, but I just don't foresee it coming. Don't hold your breath.
I wouldn't hold your breath either for the Bucs to make a trade. It ain't Jason's style. We did do it during the Super Bowl years, so don't think he's not looking. Don't think he's kicking the tires. If there's something out there that he deems of value, he will go and get it up there. So don't doubt Jason Light. He's just not going to overpay, and some of these teams are. And the Eagles just do things differently, right? So we'll see. Bucs already have great weapons. They don't need anyone. Agree with Zach, says Olivia. So there you go. And yes, the Buccaneers do have great weapons. J-Lo, don't see Bucs making a move. Okay with that. Some Bucs fans, it's funny. Yeah, you're going to have to remember, always trust in Jason Light. It's one of those things where it might be easy to doubt him, but we have to remember this isn't a game of Madden where you could just restart season and franchise mode come next year and replenish draft picks and replenish all that, right? This is very much so real life where, hey, once that 5th, 6th round pick's gone and you're going to bring in the $11 million cap, things get a little more tight. Baker's going to be a free agent coming up. You trade for a guy like Jalen Waddle, maybe you can't afford the Baker contract. Next thing you know, it costs you your franchise quarterback. As Zach alluded to earlier this offseason, everybody was clamming at the bit for Parsons, and that would have been a hell of an addition. But then remember, shortly after they extended Goedeke and McCollum, the Bucs might have not been able to extend guys like Goedeke and McCollum if they go ahead and trade for Micah Parsons. And then, oh, by the way, probably without a first-round pick next year. Oh, and by the way, you're probably without a Yaya Diaby then too. So ramifications, big names equal big draft capital, big capital, Zach. I don't think a lot of people get that fact that, hey, if you want a big name, great. But what are you going to do to get that big name? That's really the question.
Right. And it takes two to tango as well. I mean, Jason could maybe want to make a move, but the person that he wants to get, they're not willing to move, or their asking price is too high. I think the last trade that he made, was it a pick swap for McClendon or yeah. So, I mean, it's just not in the cards, man. I just really don't see it. It's kind of, it would almost, I mean, I was of the reservation that we needed to make a move to get a piece if we're serious about moving. But at this point, with the development of all the guys that we have, it would almost reek of desperation, right? Like if we would go out and make a move, like I said, it would almost mean that Godwin and McMillan aren't coming back if we make a move at receiver. If we make an offensive line move, it might mean that Goedeke season's over. So if they do make a move, it's probably an indication of a bigger piece that we don't want to see happen. I think we all want to see Godwin and McMillan and Goedeke back on the field.
Correct. And it seems like we're near Goedeke coming back to the field. Hopefully McMillan is a little bit more of a scary one. Godwin's status is kind of truly up in the air, so we'll see. But I think Zach's right. The approach to the deadline will almost foreshadow some of these injuries to a Reddick, to a Godwin, those type of players. We are live here on the Buccateers. If you're tuned in on this beautiful Man Cave Monday, we're about to chat memorabilia and Man Caves right now. Please hit that like button, subscribe button, turn that notification bell on the Buccateers YouTube channel. Never miss an episode, never miss us live. You could always catch a replay on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Deezer, and so much more. Super chats, super thanks, and membership subscriptions are always appreciated, but never expected. We appreciate those who help grow the show. That's truly what they do. Christopher Cole says GMs have different ways of doing what they do. Exactly right there. And Zach, memorabilia collectors have a different way of doing things that they do. I'm not even sure how I stumbled across this of late. I think I was added to the Facebook group by someone, but as of late, there's a Facebook group called Tales of the TTM or Tales of the Autographs or something along that point. Tales from the Collection. It's a place where people share their fan mail and TTM autographs, Zach. But I've recently gotten in, and I'm already going to bow out because I got who I got, and I've got 4 to 5 of them, and that's all I need. But I recently got into a mini stretch of through the mail autographs. TTMs are called, and what that entails is, in the year 2025, some of it's emailing, some of it's still the old-fashioned way of mailing into addresses, Zach, but it's pretty much writing to a famous person or an athlete or whoever you aspire a little letter saying, hey, I'm a fan of yours, or emailing them, hey, I'm a fan of yours. I would love an autograph if possible. Please let me know if that can happen, blah, blah, blah. And then a couple weeks down the stretch, used to be a couple months, but recently it's been a couple weeks, you could get autographs back through the mail. And like I said, I'm 4 for 5 so far. The only one I struck out on was Coach Calipari, the Arkansas basketball men's head coach. But Zach, I've gotten some really cool mail success, all for free. I mean, some of them cost you a stamp if you write the letter and envelope, that sort of stuff, but they don't charge you for these. But Zach, before I go through my recent success, 4 out of 5, as I said, for through the mail, and kind of explain how I do it for each and every one of these. I'm not going to give out the person's email or actual address. That's up to you to get. I'm not going to hold your hand and give it for you. Much like jersey collecting, you kind of got to know the secrets. It takes some time to do the research. But Zach, are you a TTM guy, or have you ever been a through the mail guy at all?
Well, I did once. I didn't know there was a lingo for it, honestly. So years ago, I got a Warwick Dunn authentic jersey, and I wanted it signed, but I didn't know how to get access to him because he doesn't play anymore, and he lives in, I think he's out of Atlanta now. So a buddy of mine was like, dude, just send it to his charity and make a donation, and I'm sure he'll sign it. And that's what I did. So I put a money order in the envelope with a donation to the charity and the jersey, and a return, a paid return package to send it back. And he signed it for me, and I sent it back. Now I've done that with Brad too, but that's kind of different. It wasn't that type of thing. But if you're going to do something like that, I would recommend prepaying for the return postage.
Exactly. Always try and, as Zach said, and we talked about a little bit earlier, charities or other, not that charities are odd, but charities or other oddities such as, hey, if a player owns a restaurant and they have a communication box on that website, maybe reach out to that. The weird ways to get in touch with these people or former famous people or current is kind of sometimes outside the box. As I said, emails are another big one nowadays. You kind of have to fetch for their email. I mean, I'm not going to lie, Coach Calipari's inbox must have been over flooded because it was his direct email. And in the group Tales from the Collection on Facebook, I've seen like 50 people post his autograph 8x10. I got the reply, deservingly so. Hey, we're going to hold off on these right now. It's been a little overdone, which is understandable. But some of the success I've had has been really incredible. And I've only had to send 2 letters to this point. The others were emails. For instance, they're all different kinds too. This is pretty cool. This is from the cartoonist who created Dennis the Menace, the old Marvel cartoon back in
Mhm.
the day. If you email him, once again, not going to give the email out, you got to do your research, but Ron Ferdinand is the name at Hank Ketchum Entertainment. He'll actually draw up a little personalized Dennis the Menace cartoon for you, sign it for you, and send it in the mail. So anyone a Dennis the Menace fan, you could get something like that. Once again, pretty cool little neat thing for free. All that took was an email. Now again, some of these are on that Facebook page and get over flooded, so I'm not sure how long they'll last. But I did do my own research for a couple of these too. But that Facebook page is Tales from the Collection. If you go over there, you could probably find out the Dennis the Menace email. That's where I found his, and you could go on and email him. Again, probably get over flooded, so get it while you can. Not sure how long this will last. This was another email one. Crazy to believe that some of these are emails. And once again, they'll personalize a lot of these, which I don't blame them for because they don't want people just emailing them to sell them, right? Hey, I'm a big fan of yours. Only do it if you're a fan of these people, right? Don't do it if you're not because it kind of ruins it then and they kind of shut it down. And then only do it if you plan on collecting them as well. These people don't want to see these free autographs resurface for value, right? Like if I'm selling the Dennis the Menace cartoon, suddenly he's going to be like, I'm kind of done doing this type thing. So really appreciate it. And only if you're a true fan, try and do it because they will personalize it 90% of the time. This one is probably the best college basketball head coach, men or women's, ever. Gino Auriemma, autograph signed National Basketball Hall of Fame picture, 14-time national champion with the woman UConn Lady Huskies. Again, you could find this one pretty easily. This was an email as well, and that was through Tales through the collection as well. So that's a really cool one to get. Just a little email could get you either one of these. These next two, I went above and beyond for and kind of dug my own hole for. This one's pretty cool. This one, he used to be the offensive coordinator at Penn State. That's where I really started following him. Coach Moorhead, now he's the Akron Zips head coach. I haven't seen anybody get his before. Probably not too many people trying to get his, right? Nothing against Coach Moorhead, but I went above and beyond, found the address myself, went out of my way, took it into my own hands, and I wrote in. I said, hey, big fan, started following him at Penn State, followed him to Mississippi State as he was the head coach there. Now I'm a big Maction guy, so he coaches on Tuesday and Wednesdays. I said I attended a game last year, NIU Akron. Big fan of his. Will it hurt? I never heard back, but then one day in the mail, boom, got that personalized and everything to Anthony. God bless, go Zips. So that one was really cool from Coach Moorhead. And then this one's my ultimate favorite as we wrap up our TTM segment through the mail segment. But once again, what's cool is you could get all this for free. You just got to know what you're doing. Or as Zach said, maybe a little charitable contribution as well. Know what you're doing. This is actually, I don't know if you call it show used or game used or what. Script from the Dan Patrick show. I wrote in, I said, hey, big fan. If I could get Dan's autograph, I kind of run our show, Mancave, kind of looking up to Dan Patrick. So if I could get his autograph, that would be great. He not only signed it for me, but he sent me his script as well. And this is cool because although it's a loss, the Bucs are mentioned on here, although it's Mike Evans' injury. That's mentioned on here. His interview with Reggie Miller's on here as well. So once again, 4 examples of through the mail autographs for free. you could go ahead and go get your own people you look up to or aspire to. But Zach, that's just kind of a mini TTM through the mail lesson on, hey, you don't always have to go to a game or maybe pay for these people's autographs. Just show them some love, show them some gratitude and appreciation, and maybe they'll send you something if you're lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to circle back on your personalization comment, if you're getting it for free, don't be offended if it's personalized. It's a gift, so they are giving it to you. So the to Anthony or to Zach in that case is completely appropriate. Now, if you're paying for an autograph, that's completely different.
Because you're 100% right. If you're paying for it, you might not even sell it, right? But say odds are things get tough in life, you go to resell it down the road, and you're only going to sell it to an Anthony, right? So a lot of the times you're buying an autograph. And again, if you don't plan on getting rid of it, still get it personalized and inscribed. Sure, that's cool. But if you might flip it down the road, don't get it personalized. It through the mail, like Zach said, is a gift. 3 out of 4 of my through the mails are personalized. The Dennis the Menace, the Coach Moorhead, and the Coach Oriema, which are expected. The only one who didn't, which I'm honestly surprised, was Dan Patrick, right? You're thinking he's a big-time star, he would do that. But Zach, all in all, pretty cool. And it kind of makes you feel like a kid again when you get home and you see a package in the mail and it's like, oh, crap, I think that's a Dan Patrick show. Or, oh, crap, I think that's Coach Moorhead. I haven't done TTM, and I've really never done through the mail. Back in the day, I would ask once in a while the Buccaneers and some other teams for like those fan packs. I'd write in, hey, big fan, and I'd get a couple fan packs. But once again, I'm going to stop because I just don't have the room, and I'm not just the type of person to be like, oh, I'll get this random person's because they're free. But the opportunity's out there for you folk to go out there and kind of hunt these autographs. Kind of a unique way to do it, Zach. And you never know. Maybe you could end up with a show script like I did.
Yeah, you never know. It's a neat thing. Like I said, I didn't know there was a community for it, but that's the beauty of social media. There's a community for everything. And, as I always say, collect what you like, and you're probably not alone in liking what you like. There's probably somebody else out there that collects that stuff too.
Yeah, and let's be honest, it's all random. It's all random, like people getting autographs. Like on the post today, it was on that Facebook page today, it was Preston Lacey from Jackass series. Somebody wrote into Robert England from Freddy Krueger. Somebody wrote into Mario Andretti. Somebody wrote into Alan Cummings. It all just depends, right? And it's all who people like. So go out and get it. Don't write to just random people and do it for free. Like, again, Robert England, he played Freddy Krueger. So many people wrote into him that he kind of stopped doing it for free. Probably not all Freddy Krueger fans. Another example, Coach Calipari stopped doing it. So unless you're an actual fan, don't write in word of advice. Really just go for who you're going to go for, because they are personalized and you don't have all the room in the world. Speaking of all the room in the world, Zach, I'm sure if you could, you would fit everything you can of your nephews in your man cave, in your basement, in your house. But thoughts on, I know you've seen some of his stuff that he has personally, and he was lucky enough to gift you some things. So if you want to kind of just go over the Zach Frazier collection that you're starting to form, that would be pretty cool. And also a behind the scenes look at what he may have kept for himself along the way too.
Yeah, so when I moved into the house, this area here, I already had an idea of what I was going to do with it, but the hallway outside was unfinished, just drywall. And I told him whatever team he gets drafted to, that's the team that I'll put out there, and kind of make an extension onto the man cave, would be like the Zach Frazier wing or whatever. Thank God it wasn't the Saints. I don't know if I could have. I don't think I could have kept that promise. But he goes to the Steelers, so I painted. It's gold and black, black and yellow, whatever. So I've gotten some things. I had 2 jerseys done, 2 custom jerseys done, team issued custom jerseys, whatever rhetoric you want to put around it. I got a pair of his cleats, a pair of his gloves, a lot of canvas currently. But yeah, I was up there this weekend, and he was showing me some of the jerseys that he kept. The throwback, the 33 throwback that they wore Thursday night against the Packers. Looks a little bit better in person. I mean, it's still an unattractive jersey, but it does look a little bit better in person. But I will tell you, the helmet, the Axiom helmet that he has is beautiful. It's like a matte yellow with a gray face mask. Man, it's so nice. It's so nice. And then he had his rookie year helmet. I don't know if most people know this, but they wear the same helmet all year unless they're wearing like an alternate kit. So he wore just the one helmet, and it's custom fit for each player, and they stitched in or embroidered in their signature inside of the helmets, which I thought was a really cool, unique feature for those. And then we were kind of just like walking around in his room there, and I saw he had his Dublin nameplate from when they played in Ireland this year. And I was just like, hey, do you still have the gloves from this game? Because that would make a really cool shadow box for the international game to put your gloves and the nameplate in there. So you kind of had that keepsake. And he was like, well, here's the glove. You can just have it. He didn't want to I don't know if he didn't want to do the shadow boxing or whatever. Or knowing him, he was just being extremely polite and knows that I like that stuff, and just gave it to me, which was really cool and completely unexpected. But so I got the nameplate and then the glove. It still has some of the turf on it from Dublin. I'm pretty sure it's the first game played in Ireland. So NFL game played in Ireland. So it's kind of a cool piece of history.
Very cool people from a very cool dude, and all this stuff is awesome too, because nothing like related or not, getting it straight from the source. It's just awesome knowing, hey, I'm the one to touch this, and getting it from a player, even getting to see the jersey. I think our guest a couple weeks back called them the Frankenstein jerseys or something, but even getting to see those jerseys up close and personal, pretty dang cool. And Pittsburgh is one of those teams that's notorious for letting a lot of their stuff hit the market. I remember, at least back in the day, they'd even sell like the screws of the face mask and stuff, Zach.
They were, the little pop-up stands at Ray J where they sell mini helmets and the necklaces and that kind of stuff. Dude, they're selling game-worn stuff at Acrisure Stadium. Jerseys, face masks, nameplates. They sell it right there in the stadium in those little pop-up stores. I was blown away. And when I say they're selling it, each one that I looked at had to have had at least 15 jerseys in it. And then one place had probably 50 practice jerseys that they were selling. I was just kind of blown away by it.
It's kind of like, that reminds me of baseball stadiums. Every baseball stadium seemingly has a little mini hut or something full of balls, bats, jerseys, and all that stuff. Football's even crazier though, because you don't really see that often. I know I Got It Metabla is circulating around some stadiums and kind of putting those stands up. And speaking of Metabla, that kind of brings us to our next topic. Bucs Bids, for those unfamiliar, stay unfamiliar. We don't know. I'm kidding. Bucs Bids is a website. No, not really a hidden secret anymore. It's been around for almost 2 years now. But Bucs Bids is a beautiful place where you can bid on football cards. You could bid on signed custom jerseys. You could bid on game-worn gloves. You could bid on practice jerseys. But Zach, it's the new go-to place, kind of overtook NFL auctions as the go-to place to get outside the box Bucs items, or even basic Bucs items, right? They have Baker Mayfield signed pictures, mini helmets, display cases, all that stuff. But a place like Bucs Bids, which is awesome, right? More availability, more gamers out there, more gloves out there, all that fun stuff out there. But it also kind of takes away from the seller's market a little bit, Zach. I mean, I've tried to sell some stuff in the past year. I know you have other sellers as well. And things that used to kind of sell at the snap of a finger for a fair price kind of now take months and months and months to get going, move the needle seemingly. And it's not that it's unfair to us, right? That's how the world works. But kind of a little bit of a shot in the arm to, hey, at one point, it is kind of watering down the value a little bit. Kind of, I'm sure, like those Steelers stands are, not to that extent, quite frankly. But Zach, it does stink if you are a seller out there that a place like Bucs Bids is such easy access, because it does harm your value of return.
Yeah, it affects the market in a multitude of ways, man. First of all, like the first jerseys of the year hit, and the prices go through the roof, right? Because they're the first ones, and everybody's all over them. Especially this year with the 50th patch, so everybody's all over them. Prices go way higher than they should. When you're doing an online bidding, you don't know if you have shill bidding, you don't know what's going on, but these jerseys are going for way more money than they should. And then you got to factor in the auction fees and the shipping. So then it just inflates the value more. So now you have a bunch of jerseys that hit the market that are being sold for more than they're actually worth. So now that's what they're thinking the value is. And so it distorts the value of the other jerseys that are currently on the market, whether up or down. So it has that impact. It has the impact of, well, I got 10 jerseys for sale, but nobody's biting because they're waiting to see what Bucs Bids is going to get, right? Because they're, well, I don't want to spend my money with you because they might get something that I like better. So it has a bunch of impacts on it. The one that I dislike the most is, and I don't know if the dude's listening, maybe he's the guy that's buying the majority of them and then instantly turning around and putting them on eBay at like double the price.
Ridiculous cost.
Yeah. Not a fan of that. I'm all about people, this market, the game worn jersey market, to me is not for investors. It's for the passionate football fans. And because it's such a niche market. So when you have these guys coming in that are only looking to make profit, it really distorts the market, because again, now you got to pay, 1.5, 2 times what the jersey's actually worth. And then the market changes because of it. And it's not really fair to everybody else. So, but all we did for the longest time was complain about there wasn't enough stock out there, inventory wise, because it was so limited, because the Bucs were so good about keeping their stuff from hitting the market. They're not selling game worn stuff at the stadium like some teams are. They're not having those yard sales. But then, sometimes, it's like the old adage, be careful what you wish for, because now that it's here, we're seeing these downstream impacts that we didn't know were possible. And there's also a real big thing now of like, guys don't want older stuff for some reason. Like that's really strange to me. Like, we know of a Simeon Rice that's set for like 1.5 years for sale that I think it finally did sell, but nowhere near what his value is. I just sold 2 recently and kind of took a bath on them, but I needed to move them at that particular time. So, I mean, but we know the risk going into it. So, but I don't know. I'm indifferent on it, honestly.
Yeah, it's definitely a double-edged sword. It does have its pros. It has its cons. Its pros are better availability, as you mentioned, right? Hey, if I want a Charlie Heck gamer, I can maybe go on and bid on one. Where back in the day, it's like, man, where am I going to get a Charlie Heck gamer, right? So it does do that. And then B, back in the day, it was like 1 or 2 jerseys per NFL auction. So those jerseys would always be sky high regardless. Now, if they list 4 to 7 from a game, you can maybe find 1 to 2 that go at a pretty good deal and get better bang for your buck. And then the practice jerseys get listed, gloves get listed, and so much, where if you're one of those fans that like to get a piece of memorabilia from games you go to, you really have a chance at that, or from a practice you attend. But however, as you said, be careful what you wish for. It does dwindle down the market value. Also, very rare Munoz jersey on the market isn't moving at all, right? So some of these old-time jerseys, and Zach, it kind of was opposite, it seemed, when we were like up chugging our collection. It seemed like everybody was kind of looking for the old-time jerseys, the throwback jerseys. Now it seems like everybody's just in the heat of the moment type, right? Hey, I want a Baker, I want an Goedeke, I want a white creamsicle. If it's not one of those things, I'm not really interested in it. So it kind of flipped on the head in terms of the hunted. I remember back in 2020, everyone's like, I want a Barber, I want a Brooks, I want a Simeon Wright, I want a Warren Sapp. And now it's like, no one's really looking for those. I mean, you do find your people looking for those, right? But at the same time, they're not the premium. A lot of it nowadays, like even before he passed away, rest in peace, Doug Martin, but I've seen more people looking for Doug Martins than people looking for James Wilders, right? And that sort of, so it's definitely more of a recency thing, which kind of makes sense too, I guess, right? Hey, I grew up watching this guy, or hey, I'm watching this guy in front of my eyes. Let me try and collect those guys, especially the younger collectors. But Zach, it's just interesting. I feel like you could probably get more for a Charlie Heck white creamsicle than you can for like an alarm clock of a very good player, let's say a Ronald Jones beat to crap that I have, who won the Super Bowl with the Bucs, a meaningful player with the Bucs, probably isn't going to sniff a third of what the Charlie Heck white creamsicle went for.
Absolutely, it won't. Just one thing before I move on to that topic, before I forget, because I've already forgot twice and had to write it down. I'm also not a fan. I hope you're listening, Buc Bids. $100 bid increments.
That's insane.
Is bullshit. All right, it's bullshit. Don't do that. That's awful. They were at 50, and that was horrible. Because before it was, you could, I think it was $20 or $25 when they started, and then they moved to 50. And this last round, they were $100 bid increments. That's ridiculous. But I'll get off that soapbox. Yeah, the Charlie Heck creamsicle sold for $2K, I believe. Like right with fees and shipping, it was over $2K. That jersey is nowhere near $2K, nowhere near it. But it does hold a significant factor of being the first time that we've wore that jersey since 1976. So it's rare. It does have the 50th patch, but they also wore those jerseys twice. So to me, that takes the value down just a little bit because now there's two of everything if they played in both games. And then we're also, in my opinion, going to wear a white creamsicle going forward. The only difference will be the shade of the numbers. So there will be, and the future ones won't have the patch. But next year will be the first time that we've worn that since 1977. So again, it'll be the first of series. But when you go to sell that Charlie Heck creamsicle jersey, I don't think anybody's going to care at that point that it has the 50th patch and that it's from that, from the first time we wore those jerseys and however long, because now it's a different type of market. When you're bidding on something, you've got people that are really interested in it at that particular moment. And now when you list it for sale, when you list it for sale in a Facebook group, you've got hagglers. You got people that want to come in and try to negotiate a deal, where with an auction, it's cut and dry. It's, if you want it, you bid. If you don't want it, you move on. But when you post something for sale, you know it as well as I do. The first question you get is that price firm? Can you do any better on it? Do you have any wiggle room, right? Every single jersey I have posted for sale right now, I have gotten people hitting me up for a ridiculous discount. And it's like, I got 2 practice jerseys listed right now. I'm trying to get $200 for the pair. And they're both current players, both signed. Can't move them. Somebody asked me if I take $100 for both of them. No, that's the answer, right? Go to eBay. There's a number 62. I can't even remember who it is, but it's from like 2014. It's listed for $199.99. And I don't even think it has the nameplate on the back. And I'm giving you, I got 2 current used jerseys, and I can't move them. So the market is all over the place. But if you threw those things up on Bucs Bids right now, they'd probably get $300 a piece, easy.
And that's the weirdest thing about the market. Like, as soon as you list something for sale that's not through an auction site, I feel like, as you said, Zach, a couple of things. A, hagglers. B, the buyer thinks they control the market because, like you said, they'll see what's available on the auction site and kind of use you as a backup plan. Whereas, as you said, hey, things pop up on the first time. They're not stale, right? Something gets posted a day later. Now it's considered stale. It's just sad. I posted a pair of mini helmets, one signed by Jason Light, one signed by Bradley Pinion, and then a Sean Murphy Bunting event golf ball from the Arians Family Foundation. I think I posted that lot, those 3 items, for $60 combined. Didn't get a sniff. If you post a Jason Light mini helmet sign on Bucs Bids, it would easily get $100, I'm sure. So, just one of those things where, hey, people just, for whatever reason, they just like getting it. It's the same thing with the people who ask, does it come with COA? Does it come with COA? I feel like people just are so like mind focused on, oh, the item's more legitimate if it comes from the source itself, where it's like, no, you really get better deals from the secondhand marketplace, but it's shiny new toy syndrome, right? Everybody just wants a new thing regardless. It's like, oh, I could get a Cody Mock and Goedeke 2-for-1 for 200. Or, oh my gosh, a Graham Barton practice jersey just got bid. I'll bid 400 on that just to be the first hands on it. People are all about being the first hands on things. And Zack, me and you know it stinks, but as a seller, once you list an item and it doesn't sell for probably a week, it even gets that much harder to move it.
It does, and don't get me wrong, I haggle when I buy something. I think it's the nature of the beast, right? But when I see something that says price to move, I know that's the price, and that's what I'm looking at when I buy it. So when I list something as price to move, like that's the price, man. Like it's already price to move. Like I'm losing money at that point just to move it, right? Like I've got stuff, like you can still see it's still on the couch. There's not as much of it back there, but there's still stuff on the couch. I got more stuff than because I have a very bad problem of needing to buy everything that is posted. So I'm trying to get better at that, but I got to sell this stuff that I currently have as a good reminder. And I'm taking it on the chin here, selling this stuff as well. So it's a dog eat dog world out there. So these are, listen to what Tones and I are saying here when it comes to, if you're thinking about this hobby, because these are things that you don't think of when you first start getting in. Like that's what when I go to buy something, I have a price in mind that, okay, if I pay this, there's still a little meat on the bone if I need to sell it. Right. And if I go too much in the upward direction here, I'm going to cut out the ability to make money off of it, or at least even break even. And it's funny that we're talking about this now, because my idea of this show today was going to be to talk about pricing and how the factors that we look at when we're trying to determine the value of these things, because there's not a Beckett price guide for these things. You're not going to be able to go anywhere and see from October 31st, 2021, Chris Godwin's gamer is worth this much, right? It doesn't exist. So pricing is very fickle with this market, and can be a point of contention amongst buyer and seller, right? Because the buyer definitely doesn't value the item the same way as the seller does, right? So it's an interesting thing. I'm kind of in a negotiation right now, and we're kind of going back and forth on values of things. So I'd like to get your thoughts on that.
You're 100% right. It's almost like buying a car. As soon as you drive off the lot, the value just decreases, at least nowadays, unless it's an Evans, a Godwin, a Levante, right? But your standard game-worn jersey, as soon as you buy it, you almost have to assume, okay, I'll probably get at most 75% for this jersey. And that's the problem with I had at the beginning. You just admitted you kind of had earlier. A lot of these people have is you kind of just want to load up, right? There's not enough memorabilia in the world. It seems, oh, I'll buy this, I'll buy this, I'll buy this, I'll have room for this, I'll have room for that. And then you kind of realize, oh crap, more and more keeps coming out. I'm going to want this, I'm going to want that. Did I really need this? Did I really need that? And then you're like, I'll hold on to it. Then by the time you go to sell it, you bought it for $250 and you can't even get $125 for it because the player's not a hot commodity like it once was. B, they're not a Buccaneer anymore. And C, just something else came out that more people want. So it's really one of those things that you really have to buckle down and say, hey, I either plan on I know I'm not going to get any. And I think me and you are similar where we're never planning on selling unless we need the money or something else comes up. So it's not a big worry for us. But I think when you buy things nowadays, you really have to tell yourself, I'm only going to expect 40 to 50% of what I paid for this back, even if that's undershooting, right? You kind of just got to put that in your head. Worst case scenario, I spent $2,000 on this. I'll probably get 900 to $1,000 back on that. Worst case, factor that in. B, it might not sell at the snap of a finger. It's all random, right? Like I had a Logan Hall headband. I was selling it for about a year. Randomly, it sold a couple weeks back. It's just one of those items where Zack said, there's a Beckett magazine for cards. There's not one for these. These are all one-of-one items. You might not want that item. Somebody might not want that item, but a year from now, somebody might gobble it up. So it's kind of hard to gauge the exact value given the time. What you might have it on for eBay now, you might be able to get more or less from a year from now, depending on who's looking for that item. So you're really going to have to tell yourself the predictability of the market is almost unpredictable. But I think the biggest nail on the head is you're going to have don't overstock. If I could go back and do it all over again, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love everything I have, but I can't even put it all up, right? That's how much I have. So don't overstock. But you're like me, when something comes out still, I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a go. It's only this price. It's only this price. So I still have that problem. A, don't overstock though, and B, never expect full value of return, because we all know that's how life doesn't work. Expect it as a car. It drops off out of the lot. I don't know if that makes sense, Zach, but that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when I'm selling it, I try to look at what was accomplished in the jersey, right? To gauge the value. We've talked about this before. The reds are more valuable than the whites just because of scarcity. The color rush is even more valuable because of scarcity. Like for instance, the pewter was only worn 3 seasons and maybe 5 games at the most, 5 or 6 games at the most. So that's a really hard one to come by. And then if there's a play or a bunch of stats associated with it, a win, these things, in my opinion, add a little bit of value to it. That's what makes the love of the alarm clocks a little bit difficult, is because the majority of those jerseys have losses tied to them. There's not a lot that come with a win in that jersey, or a lot of memorable plays or tremendous stats, so to speak. But the flavor of the week is another thing. Like Abuka stuff is going for a tremendous amount on Bucs Bids, even though it's the wrong number. They're all selling. They're selling all these 9s, and they're selling enough, especially of the issued, all issued for Abuka. They haven't had any game worn stuff, but all the stuff that they're selling on there, that is these quote unquote issued jerseys, raises a little bit of a flag in my opinion, because I don't see them making 4 and 5 creamsicles for a player that are going to be issued. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've sold, I don't know, 4 Evans creamsicle jerseys. I don't think they're making so that he would need one to wear and then a backup for that game. So you're telling me that they made 6, or do they have materials to make 6 and they're selling them? None of them have captain's patches on them, so they're not game issued. So to me, it's just like the Pro Bowl jerseys. They're making as many of them as they have shells and numbers for, and then dumping them off on Bucs Bids to sell. And they're getting what Abuka issued hit like 5K, or was that his preseason hit upwards of that? I think
upwards of 5K for sure for his preseason. But I agree with you. I raise red flags to all of those getting listed as well. I just find it a little weird that, white creamsicles, there's a couple floating around of each. So that's why, nothing against issue. That's why I'm really not personally a big issued guy. And you said it yourself, Zach. What do the customs, some people label those as issued, so it's a tricky market, but it's kind of a beginner's market for me, is issued jerseys. And you kind of step into the game used jerseys and stuff. But Zach, we are at an hour here. Anything else you want to get to today, brother, before we wrap things up?
No, I think we covered a lot today.
Sorry, I'm sneezing now. Got allergic to the prices.
I respect that.
That's what happened with me. But other than that, I did want to we'll get to it next time. I wanted to get to kind of create a uniform combo in our head, but we do need time to think on that. So our next Man Cave Monday, it won't be the 10th. I believe it'll be the 17th. So on the 17th, when we come back, Zach and I will create a Bucs uniform combo that we think is the gnarliest, the coolest, that we'd like to display on a mannequin or something for our Man Cave Monday. But be sure to check out tomorrow. We'll be back with the campus kickoff or college show. Tune Me Up Tuesday. We'll be back with our live show tomorrow to get you ready for Bucs Patriots. Wednesday, we'll be back with Toe in the Line, or quick football kickoff show. And then Thursday, we'll do our Saturday showdown on a Thursday, because we'll be in Tampa enjoying ourselves. So it's going to be a jam-packed week. As I said, Monday we will have an off week. But Zach, any last thoughts or words for the show, brother, before we bounce out?
No, all good. Safe travels, brother.
Safe travels to you and the missus as well. Hope to see you down there. But if not, we'll see you guys in Carolina. That'll be here before you know it as well.
Absolutely.
Fire the damn cannons. Mancave Monday, very successful. Bucs by 30. Tampa Tones were out of the building. We'll be back tomorrow and Tune Me Up Tuesday. Fire the damn cannons. Bro, we'll put it like that.
Nice.
What's it like? I was actually there in attendance in Cleveland for Coe's first career NFL touchdown, which was awesome. And,
Awesome.
it was a great game. You could hear me on camera. I was just screaming, "Say it ain't so, Coe! Say it ain't so!" Sadly, from there, the game kind of went off the rails a little. That was the last high moment of that game, but it was a great game. Overtime loss, fun time.
Yeah.
But how was that moment for you? Seeing the first, whether it was on TV, in person, wherever you were, seeing his first NFL touchdown. How was that?
Well, dude, I mean, we were at home because it was a away game. We don't travel to a lot of the away games because we can get into that later. But, to watch that and to think I wished I was there live. So to have your video was so cool. And just that, hey, this is so cool. I mean, that was so cool for us. Catching it from Tom Brady, right? Like he's got the ball yet. I mean, first NFL touchdown means a lot, right? I mean, as a dad, that's just so cool to see. And it was fun to watch. And, it didn't have the outcome we wanted, but still the same. What a memory! What a memory to have, right? So,
and honestly,
cool.
those. One of the best guests ever, the Buccateers in the house tonight. You guys hear him on Tampa radio all the time. He's one of the best in the business. My favorite personal in the business. That's why I'm elated tonight. Growing up in the Chicago area, you're used to sports radio. That's what gets me through the day. So this man does help get me through the day, I will say, with the Pat and Aaron show at work. Nothing like it. So it's incredible. It looks like we got Stunna bumbling in. I'm Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat
It looks like
Donovan.
Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like you got a little.
No, my camera's broke.
And he was trying to pull me in big time. And then I was like, nothing happened with Indianapolis yet. Like, I really want to give Indy a chance. And then also I talked to Cody Gruden, once he took over Rich McCann, I'm still like, well, look, I was like, y'all just give me the opportunity to explore free agency, see what's going on, and then can I make it do it?